Yep, fire.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you. All right, good morning. We're the 2021 Board of Equalization and Review for Union County. We have been appointed by the county commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with respect to their concerns or complaints regarding the valuation of their property for tax purposes. The property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have the right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in evaluating the dispute for tax purposes. And here's the format. The clerk calls the case and locates the property or explains the situation of its personal property. The appellant presents his or her case. The assessor's office offers their defense. Both parties will be given an opportunity to conclude their comments. All questions from either party should be directed to myself or to the board. The board will rule on the case or table it and inform the taxpayer when it will be reopened. The taxpayer will be notified in writing of the board's decision. By statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to demonstrate that the assessment is erroneous. I'd ask that you please silence your cell phones. Now we will, after these hearings end, we will make the decisions in that same order. You're welcome to stay, you're welcome to leave, whichever you prefer, but there won't be any comments heard after that. No questions, let's begin the proceedings.
First hearing will be number 3. Joe Mitchell. Parcel number 09188-008.
Joe, how you doing?
Is it okay if I don't wear my mask?
I'd like for you not to.
Okay, thank you. You probably-
Have you had your distemper and rabies shot?
It's probably past the time. Can you hear me?
I will step out of your way in just
Okay.
1 second.
I've got the next three properties here, and they're all consistent. Can we talk about them all?
Absolutely,
One time.
yes.
And I've got two other properties that I'm relating this stuff to. I'm sorry, I didn't really realize this was quite how this was going to work. I thought I'd be meeting with an individual. But I think I got good enough notes here to do this. First off, this piece of property here would be parcel for hearing 3, hearing 4, hearing 5. And then I need to bring up these two parcels, 09150207 and 09150206. You got them? Well, anyway, these two that I just mentioned, plus that I didn't appeal, I felt like the value was fair. I was comparing the 3 that we're talking about today to these 2. These are 5 rental properties. I built them all within 2 years of each other. They're all within a mile of each other. They're just in the same general area in the Walkup Avenue area. The 2 that I just brought up, its values were $137,900. And these 2 pieces of property are even higher quality properties than the other because they've got 2-car garages. When you compare the other 3, they don't have 2-car garages, but the year built is similar. I just feel like that the value on the 2 that I brought up, you have at $137,000. They're valued at approximately $107 a foot. If you value and have the garages, if you take this property 08, which is hearing 3, I put the value of it as well as the other 2 at $145,000. But actually, if you compare the same price per square foot, this item 3 here would be $120,268. The number 4 would actually be $120,696, and number 5 would come out at $134,392. So when I made my first, when I turned my report in to begin with, that's when I felt like, well, there's no way that these other 3 properties could be worth more than $145,000. So that's where I'm coming from. It just wasn't consistent. is the way I felt about this. Since they were all built at a similar time, they were all virtually in the same neighborhood. I'd actually like to lower my request if I can, but the 145 that they finally came up with, with the values that they finally came up with being 174 and a house that I feel like is worth 120. The fourth one, the value is at 169.7, and I feel like it's worth 120. And the third one, which was the value at 178, felt like it was worth 134. So I'd like the values to be reduced to those numbers if I could, certainly no more than what I asked for the first time.
What time frame were these houses built, year-wise?
Randy, it was, let's see here. The two that aren't part of this were built in '02 or '03. The other three were built in '03 and '04.
Okay.
And those are, without going back and looking, that's very close. It's within a year or so. Yes, ma'am.
State the two parcels that you stated. Can you state them again, please? Can you state the two parcels again?
The two parcels that I was relating all this to are 09 50206. That would be lot 12 of Bass Creek. And 09 150207, lot 13 of Bass Creek. And like I say, all these houses are, within a mile of each other. From Jones Street to Steel Street to Bass Creek Court to,
Which house has a double garage?
the ones I just gave her. Number
Those-
12 Bass Creek and number 13 Bass Creek.
So the three that you're talking with us about, they don't have garages?
Correct.
Don't you got any questions?
No, I imagine the only question, the two that you're relating these to, did you show that information to the county during your initial discussion with them, or?
I don't think I did,
Right, okay.
because I wasn't questioning them. I made my request pretty simple. I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
exactly.
that's fine.
what did
And I
tell
would
them.
like to take a look when we get into deliberations on those other two that you mentioned. So,
Mike, you got any questions? Where's Bass Creek at?
It's off of Walkup Avenue. Let's see, I believe that's Turner Street. When you
Okay.
when you come up, you know where the old WMAP radio station was? When you get there, you turn left. It's all those houses on the left. The houses run along to Walkup Avenue with the garages. Rick Duncan built those houses. But when you turn on Turner and go down and turn to the left, you come down into that little subdivision.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll hear from the county.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning, sir. Thank you.
I can speak to all three of these properties if you'd like.
That's fine with us.
Okay, all right. So to answer your question, Dutch, I did not know about the other two properties he's referencing, so I can't speak to those. I provided a compare report for each of these three properties that were appealed. Really, the only information I was given is that the sales in this individual neighborhood where these three properties are do not support the value that we have. So what I did is I simply just pulled the sales from that neighborhood in 2020, in that neighborhood there, and in all three cases, the sales support our value on every single one of them. And that's really the basis of
Okay.
what I've got.
Did Mr. Mitchum have that information beforehand regarding the sales in the area?
I believe I sent them, but you can ask him if you received them. I should have sent them out in the mail, though.
Okay. Dutch, you got a question?
I think I have an idea. I mean, I know the general area where this is, but I'm trying to remember the,
Yeah.
yeah. It sounds like to me there's a lot of homes that were built in that area, whether it's a subdivision or not, but I mean, they were all built in that 2002, 2003 timeframe, and I'm just looking at the comps, and the comps are the year built 72, 72, 59, so they were all older homes.
Yeah, and I believe, if I remember correctly, most of them had been renovated, so they're updated to, today's standards.
Right.
I think they were updated right before they were sold in 2020. Like I said, the basis of the appeal was based on homes that sold in his general neighborhood.
Right.
So that's what I'm going off of, and that's what I was trying to show, is that the home sales in that neighborhood there do support that value. There were no sales in this area that, with a year built the
Down
same.
those, I see those streets down there, that's where I thought it was.
Okay.
On Steel Street, Jones Street. I think I was thinking about the street that's just south of Steel Street. Those all look like fairly new homes there.
Oh, down
Or-
here?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, okay, okay.
All that's, okay.
Yeah, and all three of these properties are right in this
Right.
neighborhood here.
Okay, okay. I don't have any other questions at this time.
Okay, Mike, any questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
The next hearing will be hearing number 2, parcel 06-147-020D.
And if I may, while I'm here, I'll just tell you where that is.
Please.
If that's okay. This is, property is located in Avery Court in Weddington. This is Hemby Road. Let me change the map a little bit. Here's Providence Road, Mecklenburg County line here. Here's the Waverly here in Charlotte, downtown Weddington, if you will, and Ray Road. This property, like I said, is located off Hemby Road.
What's that across the street from his residence?
Right here?
Yeah,
That is a church. I don't know the name of the church.
okay, okay. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. We have a copy of this one.
You should have this already in both, but. He said he didn't have it.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Morning. I'm a new resident to this area. I came to Charlotte in October of 2019. So I bought this house towards end of 2019. So to be exact, on October 29, 2019. So when I compare the new appraised value, it is 77.6% higher than the purchase price I paid. So in less than 18 months, I don't know any property appreciates 77.6%. And when I looked at the comparative sales, looking at the exact square feet and the age of the house, there's a property which is sold in February of this year for $951,000. So which is very close to what I paid for my house too. I paid a little bit more than that when I compared to that sales. So I don't know why the county appraised this property at this high price. And I don't believe it's not a realistic pricing.
Does you have any questions?
Just trying to look, so you purchased the home in October 2019 for right at $1 million.
That's right, October 29th, very
Yeah.
close to end of 2019 for $997,000.
Yeah.
And
Was there anything out of the ordinary about the house when you bought it? I mean,
no, there's nothing ordinary.
yeah.
It was on
Didn't need
sale.
any major repairs or anything
No,
like? Yeah.
no, I did not do anything on the house.
Yeah.
There was no repair to be done. And if you look at the house sold in February of this year for exact similar square footage, it sold at for $951,000. So what the price I paid is comparatively similar.
And then I imagine with your conversation with the county, they probably shared with you the rapid appreciation in the market during 2020. I mean.
No, I did do the market research, right?
Yeah.
So the maximum property appreciated is 35%.
Yeah, and I kind of get you on that. I mean, I get you on that, but
Because this
I'll
is,
be interested to see the county comps, you know, the comparable sales, and looking at their 2020 sales data is kind of what I'd be interested in seeing and comparing it to. But I
Yeah.
understand your concern, you
Yeah,
know,
so-
based on what you paid for it, you know, if,
look at the 77.6%. Is that realistic
Yeah.
in any market?
Yep.
I understand that market appreciated, but 77.6% in less than 18 months?
Mike, you got any questions?
I don't have any further questions. Yeah.
And you said there's been no additions,
No.
no changes?
No
since
changes.
you bought the property?
Any idea when the house was built? What year?
This was built in around 2007, I believe, 2002, 2007.
All right, we'll hear from the county. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you appearing for us.
Okay. All right, the subject property is, it's a 9,000 square foot house, built in 2007. Just give you a little history of, back in 2015, when we did our reappraisal then, we appraised it, I think at that time, about 1.6 million. The appraiser at the time, it was appealed by the previous owner, and there was an appraisal submitted for $1,475,000 at the end of 2014. So that's the tax value that it was changed to at that time and has been since. His purchase price was under $1 million, as he said, and I acknowledge his purchase price. I provided a compare report with 4 comps. They're all from Highgate. There were no sales in his neighborhood. As you can see, it's just a very tiny neighborhood. Highgate is not gated. It doesn't have any amenities. It's a large community, but it's as similar as I could find with homes of similar quality and size. So if you can see those comps, and Highgate is maybe half a mile down the road from the subject property. 9,000 square foot house. There weren't many comps out there, but I do feel the comps that I found were pretty good based on the information we've got.
Yeah, 'cause Highgate would be in very close proximity to this house. if I remember
Correct.
right. Yeah.
Yes, and I can, just so you can see. So the subject property is here outlined in blue, and Highgate, the entrance to Highgate is just across Providence Road here.
I don't have any additional questions for the county. I just wanted to kind of look at these comps a little more.
Mike, you got any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Excuse me, can I give some additional information based on these comments?
I'm sorry, sir.
Can I give additional information based on
Sure.
these comments? So after I bought the house, I did send a letter to the county saying that, look at my purchase price, look at my appraised value. Then they told me that they will appraise it in a 1 year. Can you wait for a year? Being a good citizen, I waited for a year. And they appraised it a very high price. And they did not even, the appraiser, with all respect, the appraiser said that it's very near. The property I listed over here on the second page that I've submitted, it's also very close property from this property. And it is sold at a much lesser price than appraised value too. And that is of February of 2021. That was closed in February 18th of 2021.
Have you had an appraisal done since you bought the house, by any chance?
I tried to do only through the bank, and they are priced at the same price what I purchased for. They probably increased by probably $1,000.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next hearing will be hearing number 6, parcel number 06147020. Mr. Koval.
Oops.
All right, now I'm confused here. Well, that, Mr. Caval is this Mr. Caval?
Yes, that's me.
Last hearing, number 2, this is number 6.
Yeah, Mr. Mitchell
Ooh,
was
that
3,
scared
4,
me,
and
okay.
5.
Bear with me just 1 minute here, sir.
Sure.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, thank you. We built the house in 2019. The house was appraised 2020 for 400. 2021, it was appraised for 2.626, 300. Actually, we are neighbors with a previous owner. My house has around 12,000, a little bit more square feet. And if I was looking for similar properties, so we have a basement, which is not completely finished, but still we count like 12,000 square feet. Otherwise, house has about 8,000 something square feet. So I was looking for similar properties in our area. I couldn't find 12,000 square feet, but I found 8,000, 9,000 square feet properties. And they appraise much lower. I have a sale information for some properties. I have it right here. So it was sold 2020, 2021. I believe the property value is not that high. I think if it's increased since 2020, we did not touch anything in the house, no improvement, by $910,000, which is 53% up compared to 2020. I don't feel like it's completely real price value of my house. Even if I look in a similar property, which is a little bit smaller, they're not appraised that high like my house is appraised. And we did not do any improvements since last year.
Now, do you have an opinion of the tax value of your house?
Yes. 2.626, 300.
Say that again.
$2,626,300 for 2021. This is from the county. My opinion, I believe it's 1.9. It was appraised last year 1,715.
That was last year appraisal?
Yes.
And tell me that figure one more time?
Last year was 1,715,400.
What's the date of that appraisal?
Apologize. June 11, 2020.
Okay.
I have notice of decision.
Is that a formal residential appraisal that you had done in June of '20? Or is it what we're looking at here, this market analysis prepared, I think I'm on the right one, by the realty company?
I have notice of decision from the county,
Yeah,
2020.
yeah, but,
I have appraisal for 2020, notice of decision.
yeah, is that an appraisal though, or is that a notice from the county on
It's
value?
I don't quite understand what it
Yeah.
is. I can show it to you.
He appeared on June 11th.
Of 2020, and the board at that time made a decision on it, and this is a notice of decision from the board for 1,715,000. So this is a county BER
That's a
decision.
BER.
But it, again, that's from back from 2015 values.
Right.
Any other questions?
No. I'm good.
Well, thank you, sir. We have an accounting now.
Okay, still on Avery Court. This property, as the owner stated, is 12,000 square feet, including the basement. It's on 3 levels. I provided some aerial pictures of the property for you guys from different angles because I think that was the best way to kind of view the property. I also used comps from Highgate, pulled in comps with basements. And you can see comp number 5 is from Skycroft because it was a good comp. That's comp number 5, so it's not putting as much weight as the one in Highgate. But these are all fairly comparable houses. You can see the size adjustments on the main level versus the basement. And I was able to drop, based on this comp report, the value that we had on it at the 2.6, well, it's over there, down to the 2,593,000. So I was able to drop it slightly based on these comps, but
What was the former tax value?
let me grab that.
Beg your pardon?
Prior year?
Yes, well, it'll be fine.
Yeah, previously, before this revaluation, it was 1.7154. 1,715,400.
I think the letter he furnished was a BER decision from last year where we dropped it to 1,000,007.
Prior to that, we'd had it just slightly over 2 million for the 2015 cycle, and then it was appealed in 2000 to 1.71 million in BR last year.
Mhm. Any questions for the county, Vince?
No, I would like to ask the taxpayer another question. See, I'm still here.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Come up.
You don't by chance have an appraisal of the property where you did a refi on it or something
No.
like that in the last year or two? or-
No.
Okay,
No.
okay,
We built the house.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Did you build the house, sir?
Yes, I'm the owner. I had the builder.
And what year was that? What,
2019, we finished.
finished 19? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
If I may just clarify on one thing. The information that was sent in was a market analysis from a realtor, not an actual appraisal. And and the comps that were used, we're pulling in from subdivisions from a tract builder in Weddington, really not comparable to the subject at all. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Next hearing will be hearing number 7, parcel 07150-210. Mr. Scott Lyons.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this property is located in Brookhaven subdivision in Weddington. Here is the county line, Mecklenburg County line. Beatty Park is here, and Chestnut Lane, Antioch Church, and it sits between, that neighborhood sits between Chestnut and Antioch Church / Forest Lawn.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. First, let me thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning. As I walk through the materials that I think you were given, they are numbered at the bottom right-hand corner, and I'll be making comments and referring to those numbers as we walk through. Let's start first with the Brookhaven neighborhood. It's important to point out that this neighborhood was developed and built by one builder, John Wieland. Most of the homes were built in 2004 to 2006. So the finish work, the construction, the materials, all of the properties are considered very, very similar and uniform. The 54 comps we were furnished in the Brookhaven range from 3,265 square feet to 6,500 square feet. If you eliminate basements, they go down to 3,200 square feet to about 4,500 square feet. 8 of the 54 had basements. We began our review looking at 7 properties. If you go to page 3, our property is 3,165 square feet. So we looked at properties less than 4,000 square feet to begin our review. We looked at these properties, and if you turn to page 4, you'll see we looked at the features of the property, including where the location of the owner's bedroom was, the number of bedrooms, the number of baths. After examining the 7 properties, we identified 3, and those are on page 5, that we felt were good comparables for our property. Although these 3 properties are 7% to 18% larger than ours, and 2 of the properties have additional bedroom or bathroom, we felt these were good comparables. And on page 6, we did an appraisal adjustment worksheet adjusting the comparables that we had identified to the 3,165 square feet of our property. And we came out with a value of, call it $550,000. We submitted that to the county, and unfortunately, that's what brings us here today. That appeal was declined. Along with the letter we got were comments that the appraiser had indicated sales in the neighborhood that supported the valuation. So we looked at the comparables that the appraiser provided, and those are on page 8. And if you look at the comparables, you'll see immediately that they're much larger in size, ranging from 110% of our home to 144% of our home. Not only are they size significantly different, the amenities, the features of the home are significantly different. The first comp, Linton Lane, has a 3rd floor recreation area. The second home, Ainsdale, is close to our layout, although it's 18% larger. The Delamere property has a basement, one of 8 homes in the comps that had basements. That basement includes 700 feet of finished basement and 1,100 feet of unfinished basement. So it totals 4,500 square feet on an adjusted basis. So we looked at those comps, and as I indicated, the appraiser uses sales prices rather than appraised values. And his worksheet that he included is on page 9. And you can see in the worksheet, if you go to the far right-hand column, the average column, he came up with an average of $596,000. So as we looked at the comps he provided and the sales prices, we noticed that in the appraisal process, those sales prices were adjusted downward significantly. So if you go to page 10, you see the adjustments in the sales prices made during the appraisal process. They average $49,000, reducing the sales prices that the appraiser used down to the appraised values. So we again ran an adjustment sheet shown on page 11 using the appraised values rather than the sales values. And if you look at the far right-hand column, that is the sales values, which is the 596 that the appraiser came up with. If you use the appraised values for the 3 properties, which I would suggest to you may be similar but are hardly comparable, it's $549,000. Now, the one thing that troubled us as we looked at this was that the appraised values of these properties increased 9.7%, yet the square footage averaged 24% larger than ours. So we turned to page 12 and we did a little graph that showed you the relationship between appraised values and square footage for the properties that we've examined, our owner properties and the appraiser's properties. What you see in the graph starting from the right side is the highest appraisal, and if you follow the blue line down through, you see about $588,000. The appraised value goes horizontally across the page. It does not decline proportionally with square footage. The orange line is the square footage. So we wondered about that and we said, gee, how can appraised values decline 17% and square footage decline 31%? So we then ran that same thing on page 13 with the percentage change in appraised values to the percentage change in square footage for all of the comparables we were provided without basements, 46 comparables. And what you see on this graph, and I apologize, there's a lot of numbers and it's a little busy, but what you go to the right side is 100% of both the appraised value and the square footages, and as you slide down to the left side, you can see the line of square footage, the orange line, dropping significantly below, yet the appraisal line goes horizontal across the page. You have a 28% decline in appraised value compared to a 42% decline in square footage. It appears that the appraisals stop at about $580,000 at 3,500 square feet and don't decline below that. That same thing is true when you use dollars going to page 14. If you look at the dollars, there are the appraisal dollars. There's the decline in square footage. And you can see that about 3,500, the appraisal goes straight across at $580,000, does not decline in relationship to the square footage of the property. So it brings us to the conclusion, which is on page 15. Here you see the owner's properties on the right-hand column, average, The appraiser's properties, questionable whether or not those are truly comparable in light of the features, but nonetheless, we've used them with the appraised values and our appraisal. Both the appraisal properties at the appraised value and the owner's comparables are about 550, and we're sitting at 580. I think we've also showed you that, in fact, it appears that the comparables don't decline. The properties don't decline in relation to the square footage. As a result, we believe the appraisal of our property is high, and we would suggest it's around $550,000. Thank you very much.
Any questions, Vince?
You know, a lot of good information you put together, and I would think, and I just need a little time to look through it, that there should be a number of comps in Brookhaven with all the homes in there, and I know the county looking to get as close as they can to a 1/121 value, you know, so there should be, I would think, some good comps in that
We
May
selected,
to November of 2020 period, you know, I would think. So I'm just going to need a little more time to digest it, but I appreciate you putting all this information together.
again, we have one of the smaller homes in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and then understanding, and I imagine the county may have explained that on a price or value per square foot on a smaller home is, that number's going to be higher versus larger. And I think you kind of spoke to that a little bit in your data
Well,
here.
let me.
But you don't agree with that, I don't think.
I don't agree with it because I think the graph shows you that, in fact, what happens is clearly the appraisals don't decline in accordance with the square footage. That's clear. Secondly, we provided 3 comps that are comparable both in terms of features, and we adjusted the square footage appropriately, and we came to 550. I'm not sure there were any homes sold, but I'll defer to the county.
While you mentioned that, I just wanted to make sure too, because your comps are on which page?
The comps we used are on page, I think it's 4.
Yeah, and do you have the sale dates for those comps?
I can tell you off the top of my head, let me look here. The Camrose Crossing was 560.
Well, is that, I'm looking more for the date.
That was closed in the fall of 2020 at 560. Stanberry was closed in November of 20 for 580. And Ainsdale closed early 2020 at 675.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, you got any questions? Okay. Well, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our new assessed value is $584,800. Compa report, I pulled 3 comps. These are the most comparable based on the gross adjustments, which you can see at the bottom. These 3 are the most comparable that sold in 2020, 2 of which sold at the end of October, so towards the end of 2020, and comp number 2 sold in April. And based on these 3 comps, it supports a value of $603,700, so we're well below that value.
Did the taxpayer have this, the comps that you are showing us, did he have those prior to today's meeting?
Yeah, I called him to make sure that he had them, yes.
Trying to look to see if his comps. He used one of them. Yeah, that's what I was trying, yeah. Okay, I don't have any questions for the county.
No, you got any questions? I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Let me just make a comment, and I don't mean to be critical. I don't think two of the three comps that the county used are truly comparable. You cannot compare a home with 1,100, 1,800 square feet of basement and a home with a third floor recreation area and additional bedrooms and additional bathrooms to home without those features. That's not a comparison. Further, the county used sales prices which were adjusted downward in an appraisal, which causes me to think, if the county doesn't believe the sales prices in the appraisal process, what value are they? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons.
Let me just address why they were adjusted downward. Is in every one of these, we try to make the comparable similar to the subject. And as the gentleman said, one had a basement. So we backed out the value of the basement to make it similar to the subject. As the gentleman said, one of them had a third floor. So we backed out that square footage to make it similar to the subject. That's just how sales comparisons grids have been done my entire life. It's not that we don't believe those values are fair. We believe those other houses were superior, and we had to remove value from them to make them like the subject.
Let me clarify, sir. Those adjustments in value were to the appraised value, not just for the comp report. Those adjustments were made to the county's tax value, not to the comp report. I understand what you say in terms of making them comparable from a comparison standpoint for the three properties, but we actually went to the county's appraisals, the comps, and those appraisals to reduce the sales price to the appraised value were made by the county to the appraisal overall, not in comparison to our property, but for the county's appraisal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's all the appellants we have present today.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and order.
Okay. We'll just go down by the number of order of hearings. Hearing number 2 was not the first one we heard, but it is the first in the order on the document, and that was Mr. Kumar.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to figure out on that, and I don't think we determined that there was anything any different about the home. I mean, he's hanging his hat on the purchase price, right at $1 million. But I think the county's got fairly good comps on this one. I had a note here about something about a finished basement. I don't know if that. I'm trying to think if this is the one with the, comps were in Highgate or not. That might be the other one.
It is the other one.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Well, this doesn't have a finished basement or have a basement period, does it?
I didn't have a basement.
Yeah. Oh, why I made a note there about.
I think we were talking, I got confused. I thought we were on the Mr. Coble's property initially.
Okay.
If it helps any, Mr. Chairman, here number 2, the note that I had, taxpayer referenced 77% increase, and purchase price of October 2019 at $997, and the tax office's comps came from Highgate.
And his evidence really was, he was really just what he paid for it. And he gave us maybe a couple of, I don't know if these are listings or sales. I was trying to look through it when he was talking to see what the dates were. Well, the first one's his. And then there's Pinewood Court behind it. I don't know where Pinewood Court is in relation to his property, but do you remember if the county spoke to this sales data he provided? I mean, I don't know where these properties are in relation to his property.
Across the road, yeah, across
His,
Providence.
no, Highgate is, the
Yeah.
comps are, but this information that he provided.
I believe the taxpayers are from a variety of neighborhoods around the area, because I think one was Area Plantation. I've been looking through it.
Which really, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
further down.
Yeah, okay. Really, based on what I'm seeing, I don't think there's enough evidence there presented by the taxpayer to change the value. I mean, I recommend we leave the value at the $1,768,300.
While his evidence is certainly his purchase price in 19, you know, you're sitting there, you're looking at a 9,000 square foot house for basically $100 a square foot, including lots, and I just think he got a real buy, which is not, which is not evidence for me that we should lower the tax value. Do I hear a second?
Second.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item will be hearing number 3, and this was 09-188-008, and same taxpayer, Mr. Joe Mitchum, also spoke to parcel number 09-150-175 and 09-150-028B. These were hearing 4 and 5. He presented all 3.
Is there a way to pull the two parcels he referenced? I wanted to look at those.
On Bass Court,
Yeah.
Bass Lane, whatever.
And I've got the numbers here, and,
We can show them in the aerial.
yeah,
Yeah.
in relation to kind of where his property, the properties he's appealing are, because it sounds like the two he referenced here, he wanted us to look at versus the 3 he's appealing, they're all close together.
Touchy mouse here. Okay, got a parcel number?
If I wrote it down right, 09-150-206 and 207.
206. It's right here. And I'm going to sure 207 is one of the adjoining. Yeah, so it's this one and this one, are the two he
So
mentioned.
about identical, okay. Is there a way, I mean, I just kind of want to validate what he was saying, what the assessed values are on those two?
I could get one of the appraisers to bring us down the cards on those two. I don't have them readily available.
Yeah.
That kind of came up during this meeting.
Right.
I got it.
Those two have garages, right, Joe?
Thank you.
The three in question do not. I'm just clarifying that.
That's correct.
Okay.
And one of them, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see where one is. They really all are within a mile of each other.
Right. And these two carried lower values than the other three, I think.
The other ones are, they were built in a established neighborhood
Yeah.
rather than a new neighborhood like
Right,
this.
Right.
As to why the difference, without knowing the cards, all of them, I really can't tell you.
Yeah.
That was kind of brought, that was not the appeal that was brought to us previously, so we were not prepared to speak to it in this meeting. Kind of changed from a value appeal to an equity appeal.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Mike.
Thank you, sir.
And then, I want to make sure I'm on the right one here.
My first guess is we had different economic neighborhoods, so we just didn't compare apples to apples.
I mean, I'm just kind of speaking what's going through my head. I mean, do we need to table it to have the county look at it? What do y'all think?
Not those two apples.
You saw this, didn't you?
I did, but I think the first time this argument was made to the county was this
Mhm.
morning, so we were not prepared to defend against an equity appeal by two
Mhm.
other parcels.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
let's
I
let-
think it might be pulling the trigger too quick to try to decide now without maybe having the county. I'd like to make a motion, we table it and have the county give them a chance to look at this and bring it back to us. I don't think it'll take that much time to do. I mean,
So, in his defense, okay, so the evaluation is done, we table this, the evaluation is done, and it comes up that the value of these two are too low. So this actually could hurt him by doing this. Or are you going, or is this set in stone on these two houses?
Those two houses have not been appealed. If we found something factually incorrect, then yes, we would bring it back to the board. The square footage were incorrect, something like that. If they're in a different neighborhood, we just thought that comparable should be from a different pool, then no, we wouldn't. We'd just say, hey, we just don't believe they're apples and apples, although the taxpayer does. I don't know. I'm speculating. I have no idea how these compare to the other three.
Do I hear a motion, we table it till, let the county and Mr. Mitchum, give them time to do a little research.
yeah, so moved.
If I can get those all right down.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no. Thank you, Mr. Mitchum.
Mr. Chairman, right here.
Where are you?
For the records, could you get those parcel numbers exactly that they're going to look at?
He's got them.
I'll give it to you, Brad, and you can give it back to the taxpayer.
Okay.
It's just a little odd.
He did.
Okay. The next hearing is hearing number 6, parcel 06-147-020. Mr. Cavall.
This is to the county. When the last evaluation was done, was his house, he finished at 19, Was it under construction when the reevaluation was done, or was it completed?
Well, for the previous tax year, if we completed it in 19, which is what I believe our records show, right parcel here, it would have been the full market value for the 2015 cycle.
Okay.
So the difference from the 1.7 to the 2.5, which we then reduced, is 1.7 we thought, the board thought was a fair value for 15. Just get it, revaluation. With the new tables, that one was almost 2.6, and then we did the copper report, it came down a little bit, 2.5.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think that's one thing the taxpayer may not be aware of, is that even though it was built in 2019, it was valued from a property tax standpoint as if it were 2015, because that schedule was frozen in place.
Yeah,
So
that one
I think that's a point that we want to make sure is understood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to glance through, the market analysis he had done.
Their comparables look pretty good, for, if they were in the 2015 cycle, they're gonna be a lot less. But,
I just really feel like, the comps that the county has are much more, I reckon the term comparable than what we have in this market analysis. And, then the prior value was, of course, that's back on 2015, was $1,715,000. I'm really good with the number the county's got on it at this time, based on what I'm seeing, Really, especially with the comps that the county's providing. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, Dutch. You gonna hear a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no. Thank you.
The next will be hearing number 7, 07-150-210. Mr. Lyons.
I would like to make one comment. I mean, when the notification goes to that taxpayer, could that be further explained about those 2015 values?
I think
I think that's a good point, that maybe he didn't understand that prior number was based on on values or schedule of values at 1/1/2015.
Yeah, we can make note of that in the response for the board's decision.
Yeah.
We'll have to put that in there.
Mr. Lyons, I think you provided some great information. I think the county needs to consider hiring you for a job, if you need a part-time job. While I can't make a recommendation, I can make a suggestion that the figures are close enough for me to suggest that we think that the county has gave evidence that the new assessment should be $584,800.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with that, based on the data, the comps that the county's provided as well. Did you put that in the form of a motion?
I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Do I hear a second? Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Like to sign no? Okay. Safe travels, Mr. Lyons.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Again, thank you for the
Yes, sir.
opportunity.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Have a good day.
You too. Was well prepared.
Boy, I'm telling you. Don't forget that guy's name. He could, man, I mean, he could replace you.
Might be somebody you're looking for.
Okay, next item of business would be the no-shows. That would be hearing number 10, 12, 13, and 14.
I make a motion, we leave those values as is, no change in value.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Yes,
Like to
10,
sign no? Thank you.
that was number 10, 12, 13, and 14. There actually, yes, there was a last-minute value change. It was just a typo. I'm going to, yeah. On hearing number 13, parcel 07, 126, 112. And that value is 176, 100. That's the tax office's opinion of value.
That is our current value, what the place on here was incorrect.
Correct.
Okay, so no change to what currently is.
That is correct.
Which one was that, Brad?
That is number 13. We have 214.9 listed as the tax office's value. It should be 176, 100.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on those staff recommendations?
Okay. Before we, there has been one adjustment. There was a typo also on one of the staff recs, hearing number 15. You'll see that it lists the tax office's value at 273, 100. It should be 237 even. And the staff recs are tab 1, or hearing number 1. All right, they're showing me there's another one that was changed here. Number 11 was also a typo. And it was listed at 393, 600, and it should be 365, 700. That's the current value on hearing number 11.
Was Van typing these figures in or
I
something?
think so.
Yeah. Is
There you go.
is that a staff rec?
These are all staff recs I'm
11
speaking
is,
to right
11
now.
is a staff rec too.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We'll get the values right on here, so you can have the correct values, and I'll go down the list. So the staff recs are hearing number 1, number 8, number 9, number 11, number 15, and number 16.
Do I hear a motion that we accept the county's recommendation?
Make a motion.
Mike made a motion,
Second.
second by Dutch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Like sign no?
Can I ask a question on that, Brad? Yes. Number 11 does not say staff recommendation.
It did not, but it was. It just didn't show it on the agenda.
All right, do I hear a motion that we adjourn? Oh, sorry.
Not this week, I'll have them prepared for the meeting tomorrow. Just didn't quite get there yesterday.
What are informals?
It's the first step of the appeals process.
Oh, okay.
We talked about that earlier,
Yeah,
a couple of meetings ago. It's once you adjourn, once you convene,
right,
the first step is the informal part of the appeals process.
okay.
And once you convene, the tax office can't officially change that
Right,
value.
okay,
We bring the informal decision to the board to bless, send it to the taxpayer, and then they still have a chance to appeal
Okay.
if they don't agree with that.
Yeah, okay,
So,
got you.
that's it.
Okay,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
thank you, Dutch. We'll consider ourselves adjourned.
Good, Joe.